putting it all together. I'm letting go for once forever. Following this map under father sky is open heart. Golden hair is spun into the lightning whisper to the stars. I turn my eyes into windows to wildflowers, white and black holes. The light meeting in my middle, between two worlds, the pattern move. A pattern grows into a map. How many times I take this path, woven with the vine, walking the red road alive. Jackie, I be the Maya. Jackie, I be the Maya. Jackie, I be the Maya. Ash of white and open sky, awareness seeing eye to eye. A quilt holding the silence of 1,000 rays streaming through time. I reach out my hand to feel the four winds that turn the wheel. The light meeting in my middle, between two worlds, the pattern move. A pattern grows into a map. How many times I take this path, how many times I peel it back. Still the story stays intact. Free my heart of hearts. Mystery of love, don't gush enough. Jackie, I be the Maya. Jackie, I be the Maya. Jackie, I be the Maya. Be the Maya, 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 be the
Hey, Yoko, what's good, cuz? You locked in?
Oh no, I just texted you. I just got these two wisdom teeth pulled out in the top, boy. I'm in this
Ooh,
bitch. I ain't in pain or nothing.
say less. All right, I'm just making sure you can hear me. And peace, greetings to everyone that's in here and those that's coming in. If you currently watching, please do me a wonderful favor by sharing this video with at least one person that may need it. I do know this is random. I didn't plan on going live today. It was supposed to be set for Saturday, but I did want to drop one chapter out of Beneath These Waters. So I'm not gonna keep y'all for long, but I do need y'all, y'all that take notes and listen in. You might want to go ahead and take a few. So I'm gonna pull up the screen from the control and we'll rock. We probably gonna rock from page 79 to like probably 100. We'll stop up in there. But there are a few notes that I've taken on this chapter. This is chapter 8. And also what I want to go over is a few things from the archaic era where they were speaking on, the different glades and things like that. So let me try to send this link out one more time. Give me 30 seconds and we'll begin. There we go. Okay, bet. So let me pull up the controls and we're gonna get to work. All right, so this text, you all can actually find this on archive.org. It's one of the books that I actually own. Um, it was written about my dad's mother's town, so it's about Elbert, Hartwell, Georgia, that Madison County area. And what basically was going on is they were looking for Clovis points and end up finding out there were coaches that may be older than the Clovis culture. And it's a lot of science behind it. But a few things I do want to touch on, and the author made a point. They make the point that they say, well, when we're dealing in the southeast, we're dealing with acidic grounds. So we haven't found any bones or skeletons or any remains to say who this people was, because they were basically, she's saying they're trying to force a Siberian origin of these people, while saying they can't rule out that the people originated in this land, right? So that's one of the reasons I got the text. So let's get it. And we're gonna double these up. I'll double these up. Or matter of fact, I'll make it single. I'll make it single. So ceremony and life and death. See. All right, so these are give or take. So according to the author, this tradition or these traditions in the Southeast lasted from between about 900 AD to about 1650. And it said that this was the final stage of cultural development of the Southeastern people. Now, what they are explaining is that the Mississippian society, when it came across in these so many waves, that one of the earliest starting places was the MRV, that Mississippi River Valley, and that that culture went from St. Louis and it migrated all the way into the East Coast. So these people were able to unify different tribal groups from St. Louis to the East Coast. Now, it mentions that protective palisades were around the villages and that this was common. We read about this last week when the Mississippians, right? Because again, it says easily to transition to the transition taking place in the Mississippian era. So we're talking about people coming into the Mississippian era. Now, these Mississippians, once they took the land or got the land, they created barriers around them. And we read that last week here in Juan Pardo's work. And Juan Pardo was speaking on Towns Creek, and Towns Creek Mound was just being given to Cherokee, right? But he says that the ceremonial center had a defensive palisade built around it, no doubt to protect the people from the indigenous people they had displaced. So one of the common traits of these Mississippians was to move into the land, take the land, and then fortify it. So these are two texts dealing with the ancient references about that. Now it says that the chiefs dominated with considerable power, and we're talking about the chiefs and their families because this becomes the ruling elite. This ruling elite, you can see a lot of the proof at Cahokia, from the grave goods and the burial to the stature and the statuses that these mounds were built to. Now, the benchmark for the Mississippian era, again, according to archaeologists, and this is page 79, is maize farming. It says that the woodland years were replaced by long-term organized agriculture. This is something that Little Deer spoke on before. The maize agriculture is the foundation for what we know as the Mississippian era. Now, on 81, they begin to explain pipe making. So they have clay. This is a clay duck head, and these effigies sometimes were used for pipes. So they also found a tomahawk that had a pipe on it during this era. Now, scratching was also a thing. They still continued the scratching ceremonies. But one thing that's also mentioned here is the blades. So they had quartz blades. And we mentioned, here we go, should be up in here somewhere. But they had the quartz blades, and sometimes they were used for scratching. So it says, but the crystal blades dug up at Clyde Gully could have served other purposes, instead of skin scratching. And then it goes into them carving shell and bone and cleaning fish, which makes a lot of sense also. So they were used for scratching, used for cleaning fish, and even carving bone. And it also says here, blades were made by smashing crystal quartz on rocks on a veil of stone, and the process first used in the area during the early Archaic period, then abandoned for several thousand years. So that's a reference to the quartz culture. They mentioned the tattooing also. The tattooing was done similar to today. Some of the needles that were used were porcupine needles, and oftentimes they used what was it? The pine needles. So those are two things mentioned. Chunky, the game Chunky, the disc game is mentioned during the Mississippian era. And it also says that before the mound builders began their works, um, there were um, artifacts, right, that were buried. So it's tradition that these people were burying things and then building their mounds on top of them. As a ceremonial or ritualistic for ceremonial or ritualistic reasons. Now, the mound in the Savannah River, when they're talking about Beaver Dam Creek. Beaver Dam Creek, just like Tauga and Tougaloo, were flooded in Georgia. And this mound was U-shaped and all sides faced the water. So, and another thing is there were mounds in the lake, but when they created the dam, the Hartwell Dam, they basically flooded out over 6 complexes. So this book, again, Beneath These Waters, when you're studying this Mississippian era, has so much information. It even tells you how certain earth lodges were built. Now, when they speak on green corn, they stated that green corn was a ceremony simply um, showing veneration to those who brought the maize in. Because as the archaeologists explained, when the people came down from that Illinois and that area with the maize, there were certain ceremonies and even a trade language brought with it. So this is the second time that we find this being mentioned by these anthropologists and archaeologists. Now, Okmulgee was destroyed, and this is page 84. I'm going to go down here. Page 84. Okmulgee was destroyed. The only thing that is original is their floor. So when you go to these mounds, you can actually ask the question like, hey, the earth lodge that's here today was it built during the Mississippian era? They will say yes. Peace, cuz. Then ask them, is the earth lodge today the oldest earth lodge at Okmulgee? They will have to tell you no, because the Mississippians burnt down the original earth lodge and then built over the burnings with their own lodge. This is an actual fact. Now, the earth lodge was like a government center. And especially during the winter years, because outside of the winter year, you actually would, or outside of the winter season, excuse me, you would actually meet in the square ground. So that lodge, that Earth Lodge at Okmulgee, is actually built on top of the ashes of a culture or a people that were there before them. Where is the proof? At Okmulgee Mounds, there is Chief Kyle. What's going on, family? I'm glad I got you in here. And there is a map, and it's giving you dates of different cultures that were in the land. And the last sentence says the Woodlands people were displaced by the Mississippians, but continued to live in the region. This is why they say Okmulgee is a Mississippian mound, is because that which was woodland or Swift Creek was no more. Now it says that Mississippian chiefs inherited their seats through their mothers, which one person, someone said, well, the seats were by election. And it's like, no, the seats are inherited. So if someone says that they were elected a chief, that's more of a I don't want to say, I want to take it that way, but if they were voted into a seat, it's not of the family, someone else put them there. The inherited seat comes from directly from the bloodline. So during the Mississippian era, they continued to have the chiefs, or the chiefs were still the seats were inherited, but the big seat now was being voted on. So you had hereditary chiefs, but you also had chiefs who started who became politicians, right? Now, the rulers, or these different town advisors, and before becoming into the Mississippian era, the chiefs had their own advisors, like in Egypt, like a vizier. Now, during the Mississippian era, the only voice that mattered was the big chief and his advisor. So one can say Atiqui, second man, the guy who's used, the interpreter, the guy who's used to, and like an ambassador, right? That's how you would translate that word. Now, the thing about this is the way that they, how can I say it? I'm trying to find the way that they were able to separate these different rulers by being town rulers, or being how can I see, or being Mikus. So the way they separated Mikus from the Orata was copper headdress. So Hiyoko Kataba, what's going on, family? So the copper headdress was the giveaway, because again, this copper came down from the Great Lakes. Only a few Mississippian societies were governed by women. Remember, before the Mississippians came into the land, the bulk of the leaders east of the Savannah River were women. This is why when DeSoto or Soto properly came into the land, he met multiple female leaders. Yet when Pardo came into the land, as we seen last week, there were no Mikus, only Orata, and there were no women Orata, there were only men. Now in 87, they're speaking about gorgets, right? Or gorgets. And these decorations, as they're explaining, often seem to be 3D printed. And says that the way that they were carved and then painted, if you move them, a certain way, if light hit them a certain way, the gorget or the gorget starts to dance. Now, these depicted mythical and real animals, but who's to say that it's mythical? Who's to say that it's myth or belief as opposed to ontology, right? Lifestyle. That's something that they either seen or experienced before a certain contact. Now, high status male found. This is amazing. In the Beaver Dam, they actually found a man of what they consider high status. He had on the copper headdress and he was buried with all these different grave goods. The thing about it is, in this area, the more elegant burials, again, as we found out last week, were women. And to my sisters coming in, Omi, what's going on, sis? Oh, that question. That question that Auntie asked, um, the quartz culture. I'll go back to that. Let me scroll up real quick. Let me go back up real quick for y'all. So quartz culture, we were speaking on the blades. So when we spoke on the arrow tips or the spear tips that had the quartz, when we're dealing with quartz culture, it was explained that these blades were made by crushing or smashing this quartz rocks or whatnot into these different blades. But they were used, it says, outside of scratching, they were used to clean fish and to carve on shell or bone. So those are some things that the blades were used for. Now, in previous pages before that, like 79 and 80, they explain that this tradition continued from the archaic era, and once it got into that Mississippian era, it stopped. Like it was an abrupt stop of making quartz, anything quartz. Let's see what else we got. So 89, here we go right here. Here's a piece of a copper headdress, y'all. So this is a piece of a headdress that was dug up. You see it started to oxidize, it's turning a little green or whatnot, but it was actually fitted to the skull. Now, someone had something to say about my headdress, not understanding that these headdresses were actually fit to the head and rounded, kind of how one would have a turban with metal lock on it or a metal band on it, or as one would see a tarbush or kind of like a fez. We're talking universal science. The reason headdress were made that way was to soften the blow at war. The reason people didn't wear so many feathers is because, again, we're in the swamp pine, we're in the pine lands. You're not gonna run, it's too much. So the culture in the Southeast is different than the culture in the plains when it comes to material culture. However, they all still were a part of that same branch of that, of that brotherhood, which broke down into that Mississippian era after war. But I definitely had to show y'all this. And here we go. See, is this talking about the new floor? No. So it says, why these followers of the Mississippian culture changed from building earth lodges to mounds is unknown. Perhaps the transition reflected a change from a more egalitarian leadership with decision making by councils to a more rigidly hierarchical society, more dominated by chiefs. Fewer people may have had access to ceremonial buildings. Before the Mississippian era, mounds were homes. Your regular house was a mound, like a dead ass. I'm giving this away. You would build your home and you would put dirt over it. But this was community. The earth lodges were the same way. and mounds are the same. But remember, some tried to make you think that truncated pyramid like mounds, and you heard what I said, truncated pyramid like mounds. Go to geometry. You understand what a truncated, okay, right. So what's going on is now they're telling you this stop for the common man. The before mound centers were for families. Bear clan, their families had their mounds. The longtail families had their mounds. The hopper families, the hull families, everyone had their mounds. However, when it came for ceremony and unification between clans, people would actually travel to one person's mound and have ceremony there, and the next one, and the next one, and so forth, depending on the time and how they had to set it up for them. But now, during the Mississippian era, the family of the B Miku, or the big chief, they control everything. So it's no longer, remember, it says, watch this, let's go back. Perhaps the transition reflected a change from a more egalitarian leadership with decision making by councils. So again, before the Mississippians came in, every one of you watching, your family would have had a voice at the table. No family would have been left out. But now when you unify towns and now you create town, it's called township. The tribal council doesn't matter. Now you have, or the community council doesn't matter. Now you have a confederacy. So the voice of the confederacy overrides the voice of the town, which overrides the voice of the family. So now the people are all out of whack. This is what was going on at this time. Now, when you're unifying different groups of people, whichever way, right? Whichever way, this would be a reason to show why they show all of the different clan symbols at certain mound complexes. But no one put that together. Is that you had to send a symbol of your family to the mound complex to show that you paid tribute, or you were subject, or you were under the direct leadership of the B Miku. And as we studied last week, and we will see in the coming weeks, because this is the information is gonna get much more detailed. As the Mikus came into the land, you started to hear less of the clan system, though people were using the clan system to get around certain shit. So they'll deal with a European, and this is at the end, this is at the falling off of the Mississippian era. But if they were dealing with someone that was indigenous, they would go back into the clan system saying, I'm Win clan, and Win clan is the most prestige. So we get to punish anybody we want. We get to eat in any town. We get to walk in any house. We get to do what we want. We get to sign any treaty that we want. We're Win clan. But that's an outsider taking the system from the indigenous people and using it to negotiate power. This is what's going on. So when they're doing this, and we go back even before Europeans, when they're doing this, they were also forcing people under their copper swords, because they came down here with the copper swords. These are the same copper swords you find at Cahokia. The same copper crowns that you find at Cahokia. But no one ever put this together. Now, what we'll read here is, let's see if I can grab this here. Okay, let's see if I can get us to 92. See if I can get us to 92. Now, perfectly. Now it says, before the building of the first Earth Lodge, there was apparent equality concerning whether men or women were buried there. But males received more elaborate mortuary treatment. Let me ask, last week when we spoke about the pre-Mississippian people, when we spoke about the pre-Mississippian people, who had the most elegant or elaborate burials? It was women. But all of a sudden, it changes because it became dominated by warlike people coming down from the north. Now, it says that with the creation of the mound, male burials dominated. And what's interesting is when it continues, it says that, talking about the objects, that all of these unadorned village graves belong to women and children. So what happened from the Swift Creek era going back to the Depth Force? So this whole Woodlands era, archaic, right? What happened that men made sure their mothers and their children were straight, meaning their mothers and their sisters' children were straight, to being dominated by a society built on intense warfare? Because again, in the beginning of the video, we read, hey, the Mississippians, they like to put palisades around their buildings, their complexes. And then as we read last week when dealing with Towns Creek, the ceremonial center had a defense palisade built around it, no doubt to protect the people from the indigenous people they had displaced. We're talking about getting rid of people, moving into the land, abruptly changing the culture, and then saying that it's yours. Is it by conquest? Because if you're going to say, well, we got it by conquest, this means the people that became the Muskogee, right? We talk the Muskogee proper, excluding those who aren't genetically related to them, like the Shatta and the Abika. When we talk about people like the Lenape or the Algonquin speakers, which originated outside of the Southeast, we talk about those coming into the land, or those Mingwe, because I seen someone say they were Mingo, but the Mingwe who became Iroquois were the same group that unified with the Lenape to invade the East. Let's see if I can pull this up. Do I have this PDF on here? See if I can pull this up for y'all. So these are the Mississippians. These are the men coming into the land, changing the scape of the land. Now, on 92, also on 92, there's something that reminded me of, again, universal science. It messed my head up, really. Did you know, just like on the side of Mirkuti, there were shafts with coffins and different people in them, and put in shafts. And at certain times, these shafts line up with certain star systems. Now, also, you find out that about on page 95, again, this book is Beneath These Waters. On 95, they explain that smoking tobacco wasn't simply ritualistic, that it was a way of life. So while it was documented as Europeans usually documented seeing it in ceremony, you will actually see children of the age of 4 years old, 5 years old, with grandma, with their mom actually partaking in that. So last but not least, you find your quartz, soapstone, and bone tools, your pipes. It acts like tools there. But someone asked, and they were like, well, and because the person that asked caused Cuz to ask the question. And the thing is, when we actually study the Mississippian era, anthropologists all agree that it started with intense warfare. So while some may say, well, we were at peace, there was nothing ever wrong, that's a lie. And I know many want to feel that way because if you say we were all good, we never had no problems, it makes you feel like there can be unity again. But there can be unity again with those like-minded. But you first have to be honest in this while educating and while being a student. So we study the Mississippian era and we're only at about 900 AD. We start to find out who did what and why they did what they did. Let's see if I can grab this book real quick. I'm gonna pull this up and read this to y'all, man. People think I'll be tripping. Um, Myths and legends. Where are myths and legends? Let me pull this up. And I want to show you. And again, a lot of people be like, oh, well, book, they lied. They lied. Um, Often, and I'm going to tell you, more often than not, a lot of these people actually go sit around the communities and receive this information. Yeah, so let's read the Hichiti origin story. Excuse me, this is a story, I think it's dealing with the Hichiti and the Muskogee. Do 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 do. Okay, okay, okay. Here we go. And I'm gonna share the screen for y'all. See, we up. All right, so we're talking about the Hichiti origin, that these people were originally known as the Atakata, right? And in this story, it says that they come from a place where the sea was narrow and frozen over. Upon crossing the ice, they came into the lands. Now it says that they crossed all the way over into the East Coast. They ended up meeting different peoples, right? They met white people. White people left a keg of whiskey. They drunk the keg. The white people left. The white people came back. Them and the white people became friends. This is the story. It says, then the Muskogee, who claimed to have emerged from the navel of the earth somewhere out west near the Rocky Mountains, came to the place where the Hichiti were living. The Muskogee were very warlike, and the Hichiti concluded it would be best to make friends with them and become a part of them. Ever since, they have been together as one people. Hichiti is the Muskogee word meaning to see, and was given them because they went to see from whence the sun came. So their name was changed from Adekata. The two people became allied somewhere in Florida. Dagger, dagger. Hey, auntie. So we have Omi moms here. Hello. We got my mama here. Hello. So this is interesting, right? And again, these stories that are being told um aren't these they are literally explaining to you how a lot of these tribal communities came to be. So you will find, let's see if I can and they spell it different. Hopefully I spell it how they spell it here. But let's see if we can find Geechee in here. I don't know if they double up the E's or which E they double up. But we're gonna talk about where exactly these people landed. Let's see, I might have to go down a little bit. But they end up telling you about the Muskogee, and they like, hey, these people conquered this group, this group, this group. This was put down by Ligas Perryman. And in fact, it says he had been an interpreter for the Creek chief Pleasant Porter. The Coosa, here's a dagger. Did you know that Coosa and Tulsa are the same word, just different dialects? Coosa and Tulsa are the same word, different dialects. It's kind of how I was trying to explain to someone about how that double O or that U sound has multiple sounds, right? In the Southeast, but that's neither here nor there. The Coosa also traveled to the east. And when they traveled to the east, here's the story about the groups that saw them hearing that crane flying over that crane flying over, screaming Coos. And those people said that since they heard that too, they would call themselves Coosa. Here is the story. And now here's the Kushida. So Saturday, we heard Philip Deer. And Philip Deer said what? There were three groups: the Coashita, the Coweta, and Chickasaw. Hello, Mama. These are the words of their elder. So these groups. Now, this story is long. I'm not going to read the whole story, but I'm going to give you the gist of it. So it says, when the Spaniards conquered Mexico, everyone knows this fair country of North America was inhabited by a gentle people, which, having no knowledge of firearms, was easily subjugated. It had only courage and numbers to oppose the murderous arms of its enemies. In a word, it was defenseless. For what availed a bow and arrows against the artillery of an army, feeble in numbers indeed, but warlike, intrepid, and led on by an insatiable thirst for gold, which this too trusting people had been unfortunate enough to display to their eyes. Excuse me. Montezuma reigned then in Mexico. Seeing this was impossible to arrest the progress of the Spaniards, he called to his assistance the people which were neighbors to his states, the nations of Muskogees, now known under the name of Creeks, who formed a separate republic in the northwest part of Mexico and who had numerous warriors, offered him assistance, formidable for any enemy other than a disciplined army, such as that of the Spaniards commanded by Fernan Cortez. So the Muskogee were living on the outskirts of this empire, and they came to the aid of Montezuma. This is their story. They also said once they lost to Cortez, a volcano blew up and erupted, and it turned the sky black and forced them to take the red fire and move towards the east. El Mupayas, that's the place that the Muskogee are from, in the Rocky Mountain area. Now, after this, these Muskogee began to leave, and they had to travel outside of this land. Now, as they were traveling the Gulf Coast, some of them began to stay, which they are known as the Atacapa, They were a group of Atacapa, so they broke off from the Atacapa and left and settled. And then you have groups that broke off and did their thing, right? So it's talking about this Red River. And it says the entire nation set out. And when they arrived near these caves, they had discovered they'd been dug out by bison or wild oxen or other animals who inhabited them because the earth there was a little salty. The Muskogees found in this country the peace and quiet which they needed in order to repair the considerable losses which they had suffered in the Mexican Wars. So they only had a little maize with them. That's one thing they had, right? So they sent out their guys, their men, to go search the land, try to bring back some food. And these men end up running into another group of people. Who were these people? Here you go, right here. So after their second immigration, because they migrated, crossed the Red River, stayed and vibed, then they crossed the Mississippi, where they were discovered by the Alabamans or the Alabamans, who killed many of their people. Then the old men, the natural chiefs of the nation, called together the young warriors and sent them on the trail of the murderers, but without success because there was no unity in their operations. They lacked a common chief. They then felt the necessity of selecting one. Of what? Selecting one. Remember, we talked about hereditary chiefs and chiefs that got voted into the seat and when it started. This is a whole nother text. Authors have nothing to do with each other. So it says, the old men of the nation assembled and chose one among them who had rendered the greatest service to the fatherland. And they named him their Tuskegee, or Grand War Chief. Same word as Tuscaloosa was the, okay, these are war chiefs that they named. Now, it says, the Muskogees are very warlike and are not cast down by defeat. And after an unsuccessful battle, they march to meet the enemy as courageously as before. So they have another skirmish. And this skirmish is at the Missouri. Now, it then says, they made preparations for combat. The Tuskegee, or Great War Chief, arranged the march in the following order. The family of the wind, from which he had been chosen, crossed the river in the first line. It was followed by the family of the bear, and then by that of the tiger, panther, and so on. These were this is how they got their clans, was it not? Did the Muskogee not say the wind blew the fog away and then the bear crossed? And then the panther people were the last to come because there was a panther on the other side fighting them and stopping them from coming over to the land. Once they defeated the panther, they took on the name of that tiger family and they called it panther. The tiger was the jaguar. The panther was the puma. Once they defeated the jaguar and puma families, this is how they became jaguar and puma clans. Same thing with their wind and their bear clans. They got these things after crossing into the land. Notice, they called their old land not the motherland, but the fatherland. Do you see? These were patriarchal and patrilineal people who started to change and take on certain aspects of other people while they had the dominating culture. So these Alabama people, they lived in, they dealt in caves. They were living in caves and things like that. they still were fighting the Muskogee, but this war went from the southeast or the bottom of the southeast up into Missouri. And then it tells you the war got so bad, bro. The Muskogee beat certain bands of Alabama across the rivers and sent them boys to Ohio. Here, they marched many days without meeting them, but at length, having discovered their tracks, they returned to report to the council of old men, who decided that they would go in pursuit. They advanced again, and after a march of some days, they came to the river Ohio, which the French call Belle or Bella Riviere. So the Muskogee fought an indigenous people, which were the Abika, the Alabama, from their homes in the east all the way to Ohio. So when they're clearing the lands, what's going on? There are people coming in and settling on them, and coming in and settling on them, and coming in and settling on them. So by the time the Spaniard get here, the lingua franca is what one would consider to be Muskogean or Musqua, even Hichiti, because remember, the Hichiti and the Muskogee became one and the same. This is why Hichiti and Ochesi meant the same shit. Because one was simply more ancient than the other one because they crossed before them. In honesty, this is why Sekou Gentle said there is no difference between the Yamasi and the Creeks. Because in reality, the Yamasi come from the West too. Some of them come from South America too. They came into the land. The difference was the original people that were coming into the land didn't come on no bullshit. Them boys are trying to do business. They making, you feel me? They getting they shit in, sending it back down south. But eventually they set up shop. They were good. So somebody gave them shop on a certain river so they could help push their commodities in from South America and Central America. It was a corridor that had opened up during the Swift Creek era. I talk about this in the Green Fire. So during the Swift Creek era, you have original people who descendants became Yamasi, and those who were Iba'a existing in the same space before the Mississippian era. But what happened is when the people from outside came in, they found that somebody that was just like them was there. They became one and the same, and then that caused the Yama to start fighting against the Iba'a. This is why they say, yeah, Kusa and Upaha been at war forever. This shit was written in the 1500s. Because there was a form of unification, but then someone came in and split it up because they were looking for mama and daddy, or looking for their grandparents. But they were saying, fuck everybody else. We finna clear the land and settle. That's literally what happened. So continuing with this, some groups, and now around this time, this is about the 1600s. So still it's 1699. So the French are now in the land. And with the French in the land, they're dealing with people, okay, woody, woody, whoop, woody, woody, whoop. But they're finding out, like, hold on. We sent spies that named a certain nation. And now this nation no longer exists, except under the name of Alabama. And these people were the Tacobachi and some people who were Abika. Now it says the warlike reputation of the Creeks and knowledge of the good reception which they had given the Alabamans, the Indian tribe of which I have just spoken, rapidly spread across the other savage people, right, of North America. So now, if I go up and I have someone who is a Bika on here, and he explained to me that there was a unification. After that war, it basically was a unification between people, which is why Europeans consider a Bika to be Muskogee proper, because it happened way before these Muskogee groups became known as the Creeks. So this was the first for this is the formation of what the Shawnee was considering to be Muskogee at this time. So people started to seek asylum with this so-called Creek Nation. You have the Muskogee Nation. You have Okcha. The Okcha, they actually came into the nation and they were received. Little Udugi. So some Yuchi, which lost in the war, unified with the Creeks. Also, you have groups on the Chattahoochee, and you have some Chickasaw which came to the nation to seek refuge. You have Tougaloo, right? And it's talking about areas. So they're basically showing how they unified from the west up to the Tennessee River, down into the Carolinas, and into Georgia. Now it says the immense extent of territory which the Muskogee, now Creeks, had taken possession after the flight of Alabamans, provided them. Go ahead.
Before,
Go ahead.
before you go forward, while we at Tuvalu, just so I can get some other understanding of Tuvalu, right? Can you get into Chief Okonas? I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but Chief Okonastata.
Who is that? Who is that?
So this was
That's the one with the lightning tattoo.
Right. Yeah. If you know, I want to know if he got a lightning tattoo.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know, bro. I just know that he was a chief that originally came from a Hachiti town, and he from what I can see, he is the progenitor of Tougaloo. That's why I mentioned it. But yeah.
Tougaloo was a mixed town. You know, it's in that between that Savannah River region, Cayuga, Tougaloo.
I could touch on that because he family.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Talk to him.
I could touch on a Soto because he's family. Well, yeah, is an uncle to me. And he's not the progenitor because he do come from Tellico. But he was the war chief, and his brother Atatakula was the peace chief. But Akonosoto ended up moving into Tougaloo, and that's what started off the battle between him and his brother.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, so I never heard that name associated with Tougaloo and Cayuga. But hey, I just learned something. So this Tougaloo is the same word of Tuguali, which is dealing with those people in that northeastern Georgia and that South Carolina region, Hartwell, Elbert, Madison County. This is that quartz culture, that quartz culture area. Now, so when they took over this territory, it says that they settled these towns, they met the white man, became white men, and then the white men drove them back to their present condition. These are their stories. I didn't make this up. So when we talk about the Mississippian era, these people give us this themselves. I want to find where they say the exact rivers they took over. Here is another kid talking about the clans. because they actually mentioned that they took over the Flint, the Ogeechee, the Savannah River. They actually name them. Oh, here go. Here we go. Here go one of them right here. So it say they crossed the river at the island near the mound and took possession of the country. After this, they spread out eastwardly to Ochesee-Hatchee, Okmulgee, Oconee, Ogeechee, Halgeechee. Now, I'm gonna leave that alone. And other mountains, right? So Chickasaw-Hatchee, all these different rivers they have, the Savannah, all of these rivers. So the Muskogee, man, during that Mississippian era, it's a lot of people that fell to them. And again, when the Spaniards pull up, it's not like they knew what the fuck was going on or what was going on. So another white boy that's now writing about some shit that happened in the 1500s from the 1700s could only base off the shit he heard. And then somebody like Swanton come, and we're talking about outside of the work he got from the people directly, and other historians, they're writing about some shit that they don't even know about. Because the Muskogee is the oldest language in the Southeast. The Muskogean language group. Whole time, these people aren't even from this land. They come from a whole other place. But you will have people that tell you they're Wale. They could be state recognized, city recognized, federally recognized. I don't give a damn. If they tell you these people were Muskogean speakers, they are liars. Now imagine someone who doesn't have the proper or the right information about a tribe getting some form of recognition. So what the fuck does facts and truth matter to you? Because it obviously doesn't matter to the people putting this shit in archives. The Muskogee have gotten artifacts back from mountain complexes they admitted they raided and destroyed. The Muskogee are the reason you can't go to Kolamoki Mound and go into the mound, into the museum that's built there for people like you. All because they got anthropologists saying, hey, we're going to keep our artifacts to ourselves because these don't belong to them, and they trying to take them. So now archaeologists are risking prison time for holding on to artifacts that are pre-Mississippian because fucking Muskogeans want to claim shit of people that they tried to exterminate. These are the same people that want to take the census records out of the archive or offline so you can't find your ancestors, because now you're finding out your people come from these mound centers where the people were claimed to be exterminated and slavery was claimed to be pushed into this land. Come on, man. Y'all can open up y'all mics. The PC battery running low. We can get a free bill going on if y'all want.
Well, I'm just listen. I tapped in so late, but you going in right now. Especially when you get to talk about the difference between the Uli, the Alabama, and the Abika, and why they are called Abika, because they weren't Abika at first. So you really going in, and we talking into the difference why the town is called Holowahali is because of the Holy War. We're talking about the split between the tribes. You going in
now,
right now.
which would make all the sense when I say those who separated from us. It's an idea that these people pushed on everybody. If you did not want to get down with them, they call those who separate from us. They speak a different language. This is how they identified the people that wasn't fucking with them. And then a European to come in and say, well, they call this because that means they separated from them, or Yeah. Let's write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or this means
Changing it up,
people of a
saying it.
different speech. So since they speak a different speech, that means their name is people of a different speech. Let's write that down. That's stupid as fuck.
Or calling people
You know how many
runaways.
tribes, runaway, yeah, well, they're
Or
similar to
calling
the
them.
runaways. So
Go ahead.
come on, bro. No, I was just adding on what you saying. Like, oh, they're runaways. Oh yeah, that must be their name. Oh look, their moccasins got mud on them. They must be the Blackfoots.
They must be runaways because they were slaves. No, they ran away from the Creek Confederation.
Yeah, they were slaves, so they ran away. Seminole. Whole time, these people running away from an actual nation. You got people that documented in the 1800s that went to sleep Muskogee, bro, and woke up Creek. I don't think people understand what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
gotta
that's
treat
the way
this shit
how
like
it
a pastor.
happened.
I don't think y'all hear me.
100.
That's the way
Because
how.
look, the creek
That,
is, bro. We are not named after the creek. The creek is named after the tribe.
Facts.
People don't understand this, bro.
And how many creeks named after the tribe by way of the European?
Just because they live in there.
Hey, we met a nigga named Saratoga. This Saratoga Creek. We met a nigga named Catawba. This the Catawba River. We met a woman named Petey. This the Petey River. That's literally how that happened. The people didn't call it that shit.
Never.
That's how it happened.
Cause we get it. You be dropping the bombs about the blue, red, the white, the red rivers.
All right.
You know, my people
All
are
right.
people of the white water. That's why we got our tribal name. So hey, man, red, white, and blue.
Alexi.
You break it down.
Alexi means black
And the
water.
green. Yep, and the green. I mean, and the black waters.
Facts.
And we
so
got different
have-
black waters. You got the black water down in Florida. You got
Which
Lake
swamps?
Okeechobee, or you can go
Facts.
into Alabama and up there where they call Sweetwater. That's also called black water as well.
Those are bayous. It's a reason that Bobby saying Bayou Gula.
uh-huh.
Because if I ask, who are the Ufu Gula? Yo, what the Ufu are? No, they didn't call themselves. Who are the Ufu Gula? So now we
the
talking
Bayou
about
Gula,
unification. Now the people all
Pascagoula.
call themselves the people. It would
You heard
only
me,
start
nephew?
to make sense if we go into these languages why the rivers were really named by colors. Or I'll ask, why the fuck was the Chattahoochee always documented as Chattahoochee before the Muskogee language was created? Uh-oh. Let's talk about it. You see
You heard me,
Chattahoochee
nephew?
before you see Chattahoochee. Because Hachi means river and Hichiti, or moving water.
Right.
It actually means flowing water. Hachi, Hoochie, water, wet. Shata is supposed to mean red. But in whose language does Shata mean red? It ain't in Choctaw. What just so happened is Shata mean red in Yuchi?
I know they bring the red bricks. I know they got the red clay. I know that much.
Shata. Even if they were to say the red crawfish, they would have to adopt the term red from the Yuchi. Because if they didn't, they would have been using Homer. But both of them together, yo boy, when they talking about the crawfish, they talking, man, this shit real. But our rivers tell the story. You get what I'm saying? The land tell the story. People simply gotta remember. Like it's like I was saying, like yeah, because probably now you can't whoop a nigga into not remembering. Some people will purposely forget some shit because they were abused. It happens. We all know this. How many people survive trauma put that trauma so deep that they don't even remember the shit. It take a trigger for them for that shit to come out.
Bro, nah, you ain't lying,
And
bro. For
my
example,
bad.
I got into a car accident. And the car accident happened during the day. For 3 years, I thought the accident happened at night.
Damn. Shit. That shit fuck your head up like that?
Yeah, bro, I was in the hospital for that. But yeah, it messed me up. So it's just like things like that. It was the trauma of the accident. The impact made everything go black to me. So in my mind, when I replay the accident, all I see is black. I see dark. But it happened it happened 12 o'clock, noon.
Damn.
So I can understand like the trauma, what you just said about the trauma part, and they might just forget. I did forget for 3 years until everybody, to my auntie, was like, that happened in the middle of the day, son.
Mm. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this to play. Oh, I got this Philip Gear video. Let's check. Let me play this for the people want.
What we called a roundhouse. That's where the stock dance originated, back in the East. The purpose of the stock dance was to keep the people awake through the night, because they had to set up all night anyway. So stock dance was originated. And then later on, visiting people were invited there to take part.
Philip Deere, the stump dance originated in the East. What's interesting about that is, if you read the book Creeks and Seminoles, which I have, I wish the laptop was still charged. I'll show you. Did you know the Muskogee used to call the stump dance the nigger dance?
Yeah,
Ironically, Yuchi means just that.
that
And the
is a
Yuchi
fact.
say, we taught them the ceremonies. Uh-oh. So who did the Muskogee really get green corn ceremony from? Who did they get the true art of Mount? Watch this. I got a question. I have a question. Have they built any mounds since they've been in Oklahoma?
Nope.
Man,
Nope.
motherfuckers, the real indigenous people, they build any mounds in Oklahoma? And we're talking about
They got
to the
one.
status.
They got
Go
one
ahead, cuz.
replica. I was gonna say they do got one replica mound. Remember, I told you I went down to Choctaw.
Ooh,
They
I
do
love
got.
that. Hold on.
They do
Hold
got a
on.
replica
They got a
mound, but they
what?
did not
A
build it by
replica.
hand. Yeah, they did
Okay.
not build it by hand. It's the replica
Okay.
of the Choctaw mound, mother mound, but it's a replica.
Okay.
They didn't build it by hand.
Okay. Now, this is one thing I like about replicas. This is what I love about replicas. Because if you're the real deal, what you creating a replica for? This is like a nigga saying, we're making a replica village. I'm not gonna make no play village. A replica. You niggas use cranes and grave diggers to build a mound. You niggas had
Yeah.
excavators help y'all build the mound.
And guess
A
what? It
replica
ain't gonna
mound.
last long because they ain't used the proper
Why the fuck niggas ain't try to rebuild Okmulgee out there?
they don't
But they
have the
want to come
original
to the east though
materials.
and take from the east. While their elders admit that they come from the west. Like their elders admit that they traveled to the west. Do we have to hear their elder talking about smashing babies into trees again? That ain't what we want to hear. Bro, the Chickasaw tell the same story as the Muskogee, bro. They use that, they abused, bro. They abused children, bro. Them people abused women when they came over here. They abused people. Niggas had no choice but that fall under that guidance. That's why I ask all the time. When niggas say, well, the Wale used the word Miku, so they must have spoke Muskogee. Are you dumb? The
No, no,
Jarora,
no.
the Jarora had a Miku, and they would have furthest thing from being Muskogee.
No, no, no.
The Yuchi had a Miku. Shata had Mikus, which they called Mingos or Mingus, because Ku and Gu are interchangeable in sound and dialect. That shows diffusion across languages. If I say Gohani and you say Gotani, that's called a linguistic diffusion, with Ku and Gu being morphemes or a part of a morpheme. But what about you, Ko? Ko, Ko, also meaning to go and up high.
So while
So
we
go ahead,
so
talk to me.
while we right here, let's rewind. Let's rewind a little bit, right? When you was talking about the Mingos coming in and this new system getting established, can you build on that a little bit?
According to the Lenape themselves, when they first crossed the east at Cahokia, they got that ass tapped when they lied to the people. They went back to the west and got with the Mingwe at that time, who were known as the Iroquois, but they were the original groups were known as the Mingwe. They went to the rock. They were in the Rocky Mountains together. They unified with the Muskogee, and they all decided on which route they would take when conquering the East. Once the
So
Lenape, go ahead, because I
no, no, I'm
remember where I'm
just
at. Talk to
nah,
me.
nah, nah, nah. Keep going, and I'll pay
Okay.
the yeah. Keep going, brother.
Once the Lenape and the Mingwe conquered Cahokia and then conquered that region, they had decided who was gonna go where. But they kept fighting because one didn't want to go to the east. They wanted to stay where they were, and the other one was like, bro, you said if we won, you was gonna give me this piece. So that's why them boys been fighting forever. But that's how that Mingwe term or that Mingwe group of people come into the land. Now, what happened was diffusion. You can have someone that's a Mingo or a Mingwe and have nothing to do with the Mingwe because that's how they pronounce the word Miku. Or you can have somebody that's a Mingwe that became a Miku, like like Atutu, how you say it? Atutukula in his family. Them boys originally from a whole nother group of people who became something else and then became big leaders in their
Right,
respective towns now.
Squirrel King and all them. Yeah.
So you have to be careful, but that's why I speak on the diffusion and the of words, because what it meant originally, the idea still can be there, but it's dealing with a whole other culture now. So the meaning diffused. That's what was going on in the southeast, because you got Algonquin speakers coming down all the way to the Gulf Coast, mixing with the Bayou Gula, mixing with the Ufu or the Ofo, mixing with the Tunica. You feel me? Mixing with the Natchez. That's how you get that shit into those languages, bro.
That I've been asking these questions because we know these Mingos that are part of the Seneca that eventually become known as Blackfoot, right? But
And
Mingo,
yes,
but but
yes,
Mingo, but Mingo is also a Choctaw and Chickasaw title for war chief, like we're speaking about, right?
me, facts.
Right. And then on the other side of it, Mingo can also serve as a surname, tying you back to whether it may be a chief or the tribe.
Why you think the
This is how you
rap
get
group?
the
Why you think the rap group called
MINGO
themselves the Mingos or the Migos?
in the Latin script. Mingu. Mingu. How do you spell that? You can't. It take a bitch that got a Latin script to even transcribe it or transliterate the word, right? So somebody would have said Minnko, Mingo, still the same. Well, listen, it was the indigenous title. It
But look,
became a surname. Go ahead, talk to me.
what about when it stopped being Mingo and it stopped being Minko? In the feminine version, it just started being Minnie.
Or Mika. Mika. That's how you say a female leader in that language. Maki Mika is literally the big mama or the big female ruler. You could say Makawachi, Mika, or Mika, Makawachi. You said you get what I'm going. It's the title, so you definitely on point, bro. And don't let nobody tell you different. I know you had questions about it, but you already got the answers, Pete.
I know I'm still dealing with it.
Hold on, here go Paul. So yeah, that's how
Can
that
y'all hear me?
happened. Yeah,
Can
we
y'all
got
hear
you
me?
up.
Yeah, and that's how you wind up having a rap group that call themselves the Three Migos. And where them
Chill.
boys from? Atlanta.
It would be interesting if the Spanish got the word amigo from the word minco. That'd be interesting. But son, so that's
Bro,
what I be
amigo
on.
mean hold
That's what
on,
I
bro.
be on, P.
Amigo mean my friend, bro. Amigo means my friend, bro.
Facts. Yeah, my friend. I said
And
it would be
amigo,
that would be an interesting
if
diffusion.
bro, if amigo means my friend, and they talking about these Migos that they coming into the land with, man, yeah, that's real.
Listen, that war lasted, they say, forever, forever, forever. But them boys couldn't agree. You feel me? Once they got rid of the Teligui or the Taliga, um, or the people that they call the Allegheny. Um, excuse me, them boys started fighting over the East they damn self. So let's see, we still ain't got no comments on stale right now. What we doing? Till we get some questions. Paul, you got something you want to build on, or Mike? Y'all got some? I know, I ain't. Don't let him build. This man, Mike can't say nothing. My
Yeah,
platform
so
this week, boy. My boy locked
so
in.
so not only did you have Bayagula, but you also had Pasagula as well. You heard me, nephew? You also had Pasagula.
Yeah, we heard you. I was giving you the flow.
Yeah, yeah. So you had a lot of gulas, right? That was actually dealing in Louisiana and also the Mississippi area. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah. So all the information is right and exact. So when you actually have people that's trying to deny the information that we've been putting out, especially when you put it in the blue fire and the green fire, then they don't know what they're talking about. They're reading the wrong information and they don't have no elders to confirm what was being said that they're reading, you know. And then, like we say, we already had the information already. All the thing that they're doing is confirming it. Now, we just had an anthropologist on your podcast again. You know what I'm saying? So what that tell you? If we was putting out misinformation, you think he had come on the line? They got to think about that. And I digress. I yield the floor over to the young warriors.
Lupito, you cold, bro. You cold, bro. You ain't never said ain't nothing I ain't never knew, and nothing that I could ever say anything in opposition to. You or Lil Deer. Real you follow, real Panther Clan. I'm real Waxy, and I know this upon meeting you. Y'all
Yeah,
cold.
yeah, much respect,
Y'all
bro.
cold, bro. Y'all cold, bro. Y'all cold, bro. For real. And that's the way I want to put it.
It took another brother to come in and bring it out, help us bring it all together as well, too, dog. So you was needed to complete the triad, or not triad, but I don't know what you call it when it's five.
Well, if we're gonna start talking about the Chinese invasion, we might as well do
it. I ain't gonna lie. Listen, when Miss Lori come back on here, bro, I guarantee you that show gonna be bigger than what it was, bro. Like, it's gonna be bigger than what it was. Cause that woman got a damn near 3,000 page book on that invasion, and she did the work. And she went over there, bro. Let me turn my camera on. She went over there and translated that shit. She ain't get nobody else translation in. A bitch translated it and gave it to her. No, she did the work. She learned language and did the work. And her shit is so accurate. It's in Harvard right now. And guess who got it for free? Me. She gave it to me for free.
Yeah,
so there are people that actually do this work, bro. And watch this. She Osage. White passing too.
And her husband is Cherokee. White
Cherokee, passing. Yeah, Mr. Mark Cherokee, white passing.
They don't talk about that part.
Bro, that's our auntie and uncle right there.
Yeah, that's our auntie and uncle, bro. Lori and Mark. Like we not going about them, bro. Like we're not going about them, son.
They do not talk about this part of it, the other side of the tribe, that bro. To make life easier, they make the decisions they made. That's how I should put it like that. To make life easier, they make the decisions that they made.
Hey, I'll say this, bro. You know how many aunties was like, man, I'm tired of wearing this deer skin. I want some cotton.
Right. Wasn't nothing wrong with us adjusting to the times, the eras that were coming before us. You see a lot of Indians and Native Americans wearing cowboy hats with their feathers in them now.
It been that way.
You do it with me. That's what they used to do. Yeah, we put a feather on the side, just so we could identify each other. Yeah.
It been that way. Granddaddy gonna have a straw hat with a red feather in that thing. It been that way, man. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know how other people go. This is how I grew up. Your grandma gonna have them big pearls on the thing, and she gonna have that feather in the hat with her big hat. Like, this is nothing new.
Big Mama had them pearls on. We already knew what type of royalty she was.
Know what's going on, man. Real Big Mama. We gotta get back to tying into our Big Mama. That's
we gotta bring back the Big Mamas. Yeah, we understand that we feel like those might be titles that can't never be taken away or given away. Let me say that, not taken, but given away. But truth is, they supposed to have been passed down. When they don't get passed down, we lose our way. We lose who we are and our culture. That's where the traditions start to leave us. They stick with us up until then. And then now we just sitting up here with the memories. Dang, the memories, bring it back.
How many families been broken up? Cause Big Mama gone, cause Big Daddy gone.
Countless.
Oh, they take it. That's why we got to tie back in together. And hey, real, if you just so happen to hear this, I didn't try to come at you last night, bro. I just trying to tell you the truth. We gotta get back into our clans and our family and our elders, bro, because that's important. It's more important than anything.
Son gotta let go of that ego. So I gotta get out that ego shit. I told a nigga something one time, man. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. The Cherokee didn't come from the north, and he sent me a screenshot. And I say, bro, I got that book. Go one page before that, and I guarantee you the sentence leading into the sentence you showed me, say what I said it said. You don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out the book and showed him. Bet you that nigga blocked me. Instead of saying, damn, I was being dishonest. Or you know what, bro? I don't have the whole book. This was one of my favorite quotes is what, y'all? Don't argue with me from no PDF.
PDF. Yeah.
If you ain't got the whole book, bro, and you ain't sit there and read that bitch, you can't pull it up on no screen and show nobody. Any book I ever showed y'all PDF, I got it in the library. How can I teach you from a book that I never read? So in the book, say the Cherokee are Iroquois speakers, which migrated into the Southeast. Why you ain't show that part? Because you got the girl, Nana. That's your boo-boo. I know. You don't want to disappoint her. You can't be wrong in front of your girl. It's ego, bro.
Yeah, but he
ego.
also, if his claim and what he's saying is actually to be Accomack, that's why he's tied to the. That's what I'm saying, bro. You keep saying Algonquin.
Thank you. And you're supposed to be Akamaki.
I don't never hear you mention how to not see. I don't.
Bro, this is the thing, bro. And I had this conversation with an Akamaki sister, and she even took a picture of me and posted it one day, and then made a post about, oh, his headdress. Everybody do it all the time. And then when I show them a white man talking about my headdress from a Yuchi perspective, it's, oh, I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is, I was explaining to her, like, bro, the Akamaki actually, they're pre-Algonquin people. Oh, we speak the Algonquin language. That's cracker shit. If I ask you, what is the word language in y'all fucking language, it wouldn't be Algonquin. Tell me I'm wrong. Do you see where I be going? You see? Come on.
With the French. Somebody
come on. So for bitch say, oh, I speak the Catawba language. So what's the word for language in Catawba? What's the word for speak or speech or say or talk? That's how you find the name for a language in the language. The word for talk would be Nindas. Given an action would be Sire.
Mm-hmm.
Giving it a people or a person would be Catawba. Nindasire Catawba. Nindasire and put a word on the end of it, you're saying, I speak this, or this is spoken by myself. This is how this shit is put together. Come on,
they
bro.
They only know what they know and who they meet, and they go off of that from the start point. What about the people? What about the people who say no? The people who say no are never talked about.
They're not documented. They're not documented. Come on, man. So now what happens to somebody who have as document their life story and then shit on other people's life story? So now you got somebody that's ignorant, but the second in command is somebody who knows nothing, hiding the fact that their mother is Caucasian, so they have no clan or community, but will look you dead in your face and call you an African. Do you see the game? A bitch whose mother is European and doesn't like niggas is telling other people, oh, well, you're African. All because y'all just simply disagree about information. Simple. Remember, a nigga got mad and said, what? Y'all African, just because they got mad. That's what going on back then. Bro, I'm not linking up with them crackers. Or since you ain't linking up with them, they're Africans. Right. They're Negroes. Now, whole community.
Being in a community, and then just because you're wrong, and then you say, being a part of or welcome into this community, because I'm going to say it like that. welcomed
Right.
into the community, and then after being welcomed into the community by all of us, and then turn around just because you becoming disagreeable to say you African or y'all all pretendians is asinine.
It's outsane because no one in their sanity would do such a thing. But this is the game. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. Well, you and I disagree. Oh, are you African? That's the same. Oh, wait, hold on. Aren't the Akamaki the first people that met the Englishmen and allowed them in and allowed them to have land?
Sound like somebody
But
don't know who rolled the corn.
all right, come on. So, but why we don't? But oh, African, this is African. Okay, so you that? What's your clan? Or why you got you? Oh, well, that. Da, da, da. All you want to do is argue about who's African and who's American. What the fuck are you doing for the family? What have you done on the unification scale to show like, hey, my family here, and this is our community, and this is how we thrive, and we want to unify with yours because we can become business partners, like friends, like the ancient ones. Because we got this and y'all got that, or even if y'all not set up yet, we can help you set up. We can show you the way. Instead of that, niggas want to pretend they know it all, but it's okay to not know shit. It's okay to not fucking know. But then when the person in the background is a half breed with no clan, this is somebody who can't even sit in tribal council. And they mama will call you a nigga, even though they daddy look like me and Polo.
I just try to have a simple conversation and understand and get back to family, man. If we get back to family, we'll know what's going on, and that's all.
Mhm.
That's all. We
Bro,
get back to
ain't
family, we'll know what's
fact.
going on.
It's easy. It's easy for us now that feel me. It's easy for us to talk about it because we deal with family. Bro, I sat there and thought about it one day. I said, bro, how many niggas can't go to their grandma's house?
That's a real
Like,
question.
how many niggas, bro? Like, bro, how many niggas? If they show up at grandma's house, she get on edge, or she don't want them around, or how many niggas got cousins or aunties? They done did some shit too, and they can't come around the family. So they are who they are, but the family ain't on what they own. Like, now we ain't fucking with that nigga. And who is you to accept him without even talking to the family? Nobody want to talk about that part neither.
I
When
even
I
have a
ask
clean
niggas,
community with broken homes. You can't have no clean
bro,
community with broken
a
homes, man.
nigga don't take care of his kid or get on here and have 8,000, 200,000 followers and don't take care of his children.
Facts.
But we talk about getting back to family. So there's niggas who can't even, we got to exclude them. We have to understand when it's time to say like-minded only. I'm not finna break down this wall to get to you when it's people that's willing to receive the information. That's damn near great, yo boy. I'm not finna force you to receive the information when it's motherfuckers that's open and willing to just be like, bro, give it to me. Give me the information.
Right.
I need it. It's people fiending for it. I'm gonna get it to a bit. Running away? Nah, Go tell your lies. Cause the moment I tell a nigga like him, America isn't Atlantis, me and him is gonna argue now.
Yep.
If you tell a nigga like him, America ain't Egypt, you're gonna argue.
Yep.
I don't want that shit around my family. If you
listen,
believe any of that shit, don't sit around my mama. I swear to
my
God.
fire.
They
Yeah,
gonna blow
I
tobacco
agree.
smoke in your face. My
I
mothers
agree.
are in the chat. Bro, all right. Tell one of my mamas America is Egypt. And I bet you she gonna say, your grandma told you that shit? My mama,
Man,
put your grandma on the phone. Okay.
Even when you get into I'm gonna tell you what happened to me last night, bro. I was on a Native American panel from about 3 to 6 o'clock this morning. I was on there like 3 hours, bro. I chilled and I sat back the whole time because they talking about the Olmec civilization is not a black civilization. Okay, by terms, endearments, whatever. Technically, yeah, that's right because ain't no Indian calling themselves black. But when you get into the real of it, right, they have nothing to say about Hollywood. I go and breaking everything down to them, and then they start talking about the Panther Clan because I'm bringing up the red sticks. You know me. You know me, I'm bringing up the red sticks. So they start talking about the Panther Clan, right? So I say, okay, well, if you so Panther Clan and you Tecumseh and all this, then in the third, why did y'all do with Emperor Brim and this, that, and the third? This joker say to me, well, I'm Fish Clan. I can't speak about Panther Clan, but you just talking about Panther Clan, your uncle, and all of this. But they insert themselves in family business. It don't be having nothing to do with them.
Bro, when it come to shit like that, and we understand how township work, that's where that come from, bro. If that family say they got a Miku, right? In the Miku Panther family, we talking about Mikus. What does that mean for the whole Panther family? That means they actually are the hierarchy in that society. So them boys they were overstepping boundaries just as Wind Clan was overstepping boundaries, Bear Clan was overstepping boundaries. You had niggas in. What happened if Fish Clan say, or the nigga that live on that river say, we not giving y'all shit. Y'all can't come over here and fish in this water.
These are grounds you can't hunt.
That shit, you feel me, bro? That shit.
I just felt
Nigga
like
be
a Fish
starving,
Clan.
dog.
I just felt like a Fish Clan nigga arguing with a Bird Clan nigga is dangerous.
It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous, boy. It's very dangerous.
Hey, that's in the book. Did you not say a bear can't argue with a bird? A bear can't argue with no bird. Man, check this out. Yesterday or 2 days ago. 2 days ago, a fool that's an enrolled member. I gotta call him a fool because I had to challenge him on his words because he tried to challenge me. He said, "Hey, if you can do the spiritual practices, catch me on fire right now." I say it don't work like that. I said, but the ignorance of you to say something like that don't make you no Native American or no indigenous person. It actually would remove you because if you would sit up here and deny the medicines of your family, you don't know the practices of what we call today hoodoo or what we did back then and called medicine. How could you not sit up? How could you sit up here and deny the medicines that brought your family, your clan, your name? But a bit want to sit up here and say we are pretendians and Africans and stuff like that. But you're an enrolled member and want to disrespect and disrespect the elders that brought the medicine before you.
I know this much.
Oh, you talk about Nisoba, huh?
Yeah, yeah, you was in there. Yeah, Pa, you was in there.
Nah, what happened? What happened?
Bro got on. I put in the comments. He said hoodoo is not an indigenous practice. I said bullshit. Yes, it is. He said, hey, if that's the case, come up and catch me on fire, right? He said, catch me on fire right now. I said, you know for a fact it don't work like that. But why would you deny the medicines? You're not gonna sit up here and sit. We sit up here on the panel and told fool that hoodoo consists of divination, herbal medicine, four different categories. We ran them down to him, but he sat up here and denied those spiritualities because he just hear it as hoodoo. He think hoodoo mean voodoo, and I just said, no, bro, that's just the words we use today. We already knew what they were all medicines, all of it.
Right, because we being real, weekly and kataba mean medicine. If I say ye wiki kuri, I'm talking about one who gives medicine. So it's like a medicine man. But remember, again, I don't speak the language. I don't speak the language. But yeah, man. So that's a part of it, right? Everything you said, because a part of what we would consider hoodoo, but they just looking at the physical spell work. You feel me? Like they not looking at calling out to one's ancient ones, right? Or as one would say in the language, whoa, that's how you call out, right?
Right.
Ironically, it's a game called out. And ironically, all the war chiefs of these clans are somehow part of culture. You feel me? I don't know, but it happens that way, you know. Um, but when we talk about medicine, people think, and again, we're speaking English or American English. So when they hear medicine, they're simply thinking of drugs. But what about meditation? Meditation.
Right.
See how easy I can make this shit in American English. But you have to break the spell, though. People looking at how words are spelled as opposed to what these sounds mean. So if I said medicine, and you said, well, you're talking about drugs, and I said, but medicine is meditation. But then if I was in Sumer and I said medicine, I'm actually talking about a deity of healing named Sin or Nanar Sin or Ningazita.
Yep.
Do y'all not see? Come on, man. Come on, man. I ain't too many people fucking with me, man. Come on, man. So we're talking about healing, right? And ironically, almost every culture's main healer or physical healer is a snake or a serpent deity.
That provide the
Maybe
best medicine.
someone doesn't like snakes or serpents because they don't want you to know how to heal yourself. We're talking about self-rejuvenation. This is what we learned from the snake. We have to it's science. It's a science. This is science.
Yeah. Science as well as
Ontology.
used as a way to tell stories.
Ontology. The way of life. This is literally why the green fire is called Wale ontology. It's the way of life of the people that were living on the coast. And then it opens up from the coast and goes from the Deptford era we'll go from the Archaic era to the Woodlands era to the Deptford era, leave the coast, goes from the coast to the interior and the interior to the Mississippi. And it tells you how people came across the Mississippi and extended the culture. So these cultures blend to become the Mississippian era. But ain't nobody sitting there like, damn, this what was going on. Niggas would rather focus on modern day tribes, confusing themselves. I'm Uche. You're what? I'm Uche. Uchi. Yeah. But the white man say Uchi. And there is no U sound in the Southeast. It's only the U sound. Ain't no U sound like the English U. So who the fuck are the U follow?
Cause my name is Enrique. It ain't Eureka.
Come on, bro.
Definitely Enrique.
Who are the Ufaligi? You see what I'm saying? Who was Uchi Lapi? Uchi Lapi is a Wale town, like, you see what I'm saying? But people, again, I don't read. I don't watch videos. I don't study under them. So how the fuck do you learn the language of a people without learning it from somebody who speaks it fluently? You can't.
If you're not even studying the culture amongst the elders,
You don't even study the culture.
you gotta get back to it. Yeah, man. You gotta get back with y'all folks, man.
Facts. So the overall goal is auntie, mama, cousin. If auntie gone or mama gone, but you have a cousin somewhere, y'all start to build this shit together because it can be done. And it will be done when you do it the right way. Doing it with a group of randoms gonna get you some information but it's not going to be familiar information. We're talking about work that deals with genetics, intelligence, intellectual genetics, right? So we're talking about being, and B is still second, right? Because B, alpha, B is second. So the state of simply is existing, is exists. Being
I
is
am.
creation.
Quit
So
playing. I am. You get. I can't help it. I gotta say that I am. The I. This is, bro. They telling you who
right,
they is when they say
I,
I, bro.
I, what ready? Am, I am, and I am, I need, I knew, me, me, ye, we the people, us, ours, me, my, come on, man. I is a unifying principle. It is. I need. I gotta take it back. It's ontology. I'm giving y'all shit that y'all will learn from me. Listen to me. This shit, you have universal ontology, ways of life that someone broke down into sciences and then broke down into cultures, and then broke down into traditions, and then broke down into ethnicities, and then broke down or limited to races. So if Polo said, yeah, to get back to family, we got to get back to is, I, us, ours,
Yes, sir.
that unifying
Yes, sir.
principle.
Because it's we the people. That's what people don't understand. It was always we the people. I don't.
Let me show y'all something. I'm gonna pull everybody down real quick, just for a second. Just for a second, right? Remove. When you see Ni, we the people. Let me bring them back up. But that's we the people. I wonder why the United States Constitution sounds like that. And what did the Iroquois Confederacy adopt from their Yama girlfriends? Because remember, the Iroquois were considered the fathers and the Yamasee were considered the mothers when they went up to New York for the treaties of Paris. Oh my God. So I wonder where the people who put the Constitution together, I wonder where they truly got it from. See, that again, you first have to unify within the family, and then you ask for permission to unify outside of the family, to get with those of like mind. You get a couple of those people, and you and your family and their family get around each other, and y'all feel the vibes, and we see how things go, and you all become a part of a council. Now, remember, we read in Beneath These Waters that before the Mississippian era, things were controlled by a tribal or a community council. After things became more of a hierarchical society where the chief and his family controlled everything. We're not that, and we're not looking for that or towards that. Now, there have been times where people have dedicated themselves to unifying with other people before unifying with their families. What that did was cause strife, because while they may know a certain thing or may be privy to it, the people that they have to actually answer to when it's all said and done aren't. So then it becomes, well, you had tribal councils in the ancient world, and even today, that couldn't unify simply because, as Polo said, you got to get back to the family. A lot of people weren't truly unified in their family. So, of course, they wouldn't be able to unify with others. So there were denials. Now, we can't link with you, or we can't really do business with them at the moment. We'll have to sit back and wait on that because they're not ready, whether it's council etiquette, whether it's this, or whatever it is. But the reason that happened is because nobody went and sat at their mother's feet, sat at their uncle's feet, their mother's brothers, because them the warriors of the family. Your mother's uncles, them the warriors of the family. You have to sit yourself down. Stop trying to be the teacher. We all went through it and we all still go through it. Sit down at the feet. Connect to the root. That's all, Polo, man. That's all he telling you, bro. Go to your family, talk to the fam, bro. Because if you talk to the family real quick, y'all can mute up for me. If you talk to the family, you end up getting something like this. This is what you get.
God give us who we are, and that's been from the beginning of time. We have family, an Indian family in Georgia.
So you don't have to change your story. You don't have to try to make your story fit somebody else. You have your story directly from your elders recorded it, documented it, and you live it. Get back to family. Pa, you want to drop something?
Yeah, from yesterday, like what Little Deer was speaking about. Oh boy, he was on there bragging about how he's a real black Indian, and that what everybody else is doing, that's actually can cause war. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying to myself, well, who you gonna war with? You know, you don't know nobody tribal story or their bloodline or their ceremonies. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Oh, could we take it serious?" Because he keep on talking about he federal recognized, and I'm like, dude, because you federal recognized, you know, he talking about, yeah, I'm over here in Florida, but I need to go home to Oklahoma. I'm like, dude, the shot tower even wasn't from Oklahoma, you know? And so he said, no, that's where my family is at originally when it was moved from on the Trail of Tears. I'm like, okay. I said, but that's still not your home. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is do that, you know? Like every tribe gotta go back to their respected territories before the war. How would they feel about that? How would they feel if everything go back before the the Trail of Tears and before the 1500s? How would they feel? How would they feel? How would
I
they
would
feel
I would love
if
it because
everybody got
I
to
could
go back?
actually survive.
You know, and then he keep on talking about the land patents. Okay, land patents, cool, fine, and dandy. That was given by the United States. It's just like they say, whatever was given, it can be taken. You know what I'm saying? You know, and like I said, the way how things going right now with the so-called United States government in Israel and Iraq and Iran and all these things, you don't know what's gonna pop off. All right, y'all have a good one. Y'all don't know what's gonna pop off. So you need to get with your family and talk to your family and build with your family on every matters, right? This way you supposed to sit down and be like, okay, we're gonna deal with it in such a woo woo woo, you know? And now everybody is in the stage of war and don't even know it. How many of the people are tribally military minded? You know what I'm saying? They're not even looking at that, right? And this will be a good time where people can know their language, where they don't have to speak in the English to let the other person know what they're saying. This was a good time to start speaking your language, or knowing the indigenous code and everything that's dealing with your family. But we've been trying to tell people that the time is coming, and now it's here. What y'all gonna do? And what people don't fail to realize is, yeah, y'all federal recognized, but what happened when World War II was going on? How did the federal government was able to take care of y'all if they was in World War II? How was they able to get their pension and everything from the United States? They don't talk about when they went into what when they went into recession, or not only recession, when they went into what they call it the Great Depression. You know what I'm saying? What did y'all do then? Oh, these are things that need to be talked about and thought about, right? But just like I said Sunday night, you're not gonna play with my bloodline. You're not. I'm willing to live and die for them. And to call people pretenders, nah, I'm
On
never gonna call that person that. Never, never, never. I'm not gonna say what they are and what they're not. Like I said, you have admixtures. You can't get mad because people had admixtures from those that's from Africa and from those that's over here. You know, like Jay Z said in R. Kelly, that's the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have no problems with the Africans before the transatlantic slave trade or after. But now you got people who talking about, oh, you this and you that, you that. Like, man, look, you don't even you didn't sit down there and do my genealogy. I did. So when I tell you what I have in my bloodline, you gonna be mad because of that? You gonna be upset because of that? Because I was raised up in the tribal culture? You gonna be mad because of that? Come on, really? I'm not gonna
I'll
make
say,
myself a bigger Indian than somebody else. That's pan Indian. Well, nephew said don't call it pan Indianism. All right, how you doing? But I don't know where else to call it to say that. Oh, I'm a more Indian than you. You know what I'm saying? I would never tell that to somebody. Or I'm more Indian than you. No, never that. Never. But go ahead, nephew. I yield the floor to you.
yeah, on that topic, you definitely right. But I want to play this video from Philip Deer. Ignore the static in the back. I put that static there so I could know that it's my video when people share it. So I caught people downloading and sharing it or whatever. But it's cool. But check out what he asks. Here we go. Most of us, we probably go to the BIA to get our record and get our roll number. That number was given to us by the government. I want you people to remember that. That was not, the government is not the creator. Your Indianness comes from the creator. So if all these questions was brought out, that would probably knock a lot of our people out. How do you, payment is coming around. Just how much Indian are we? That's what I think about our people sometimes. And I talk this to a lot of young people. Pick up everything you can that's Indian. Don't never make joke of it. Don't never make fun of it. It's going to come in handy. Even your language, even you're just going to pick up one word, pick it up. It's yours. The Creator made you that way. No one has the authority to take the Indianness away from you. Today, under the law, the government can jerk out a card and say that you're not an Indian any longer. But I'll fight the government for that because he doesn't have that power. If he has the power to make the metal log out of a robin, all right. If he can make an elephant out of a zebra, all right. But he's not going to do it. He doesn't have that much power. And that's protective. So yeah, the elders are saying the same thing. That's crazy. Paul the elder and Philip Deer, a Muskogee elder, said the same thing. Like a lot of people let that card identify them, and that shit was given to them by the United States government.
Hmm.
Damn.
Hmm. So how much confirmation that you need? How much confirmation that you need? And that's why I've been saying all along, y'all be on that hatred bullshit, right? And just like I say, if you're for peace, we for peace. But if you're about that bullshit, we gonna get with you on the bullshit because it don't make no sense to do it. It don't. Anytime you got a congressional record in court cases that say that they call the United States their white father and the president their white father, that means you took on his
Facts.
ways. You took on his action in his life.
And everybody who did it was seen as being savage.
Bingo. Bingo. But yet we all supposed to be children, as you say, of the great spirit, but y'all acting like, oh, that's my stepbrother or that's my stepsister. We never did that. Either you my brother or you my sister under the great spirit. If not, then you something else. And that means you got a disdain for us. And it don't make no sense. Why? Like I said on my video Sunday, what have we done, y'all, to where y'all have so much disdain towards us? Because we walk back and saw the things that y'all did from the past, and then y'all still doing it now, act like we don't know what y'all did from the past. Have a good one, baby. Y'all act like we don't know what y'all did, and y'all doing it now because now it's more prevalent now. Because you got a card to say, oh, I got a card. I got a CDIB card. Okay, you got a CDIB card. Because that's what he threw up on the video too. Oh, and now we're trying to get back in, but I wind up falling off. But it's like that doesn't mean I say, what were you before they even did any of these things? What were you? What were you before they even had a government?
You have people who know their
And
descendants of freedmen's
being
are
that
red
we
sticks, and
winding
they'll
down,
still say,
because those are serious questions. I want to add a question to that. And this is the wind down question. I'm gonna go ahead and end it with this. A question that we can add to that is, what ways did your people identify themselves before there was uh tribal identification on cards? Or you feel me? Like, because there were ways that people identified who they were, where they were from, and um their honors and accomplishments before um the BIA. But I do want to end it with that. You want to take us out, or Mont Polo? One of y'all got any of y'all got any closing thoughts y'all would like to add to this bill before we go?
but yeah, you got it right. You got it right. I just was gonna add into that red stick part. We'll get back into that another time.
I can't hear. I know he unmuted, but I couldn't hear him. You got the floor up.
Yeah, I would say this. Be who you were born to be. And like you said, nephew, don't be what they call you. Or don't accept what they call you. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandmother used to say, you know who you are. Don't answer by no other name. And with that, I say y'all have a wonderful day and y'all enjoy your Wednesday Eve. Oh, Wednesday yeah, Wednesday Eve.
Thank you for that, Elder, because that's absolutely the truth. I would.
Sun comes up in the eastern sky, old wind blows by and by. Every day's just as wise, every day's just as. Sun comes up in the eastern sky, old wind blows by and by. Every day's just as wise, every day's just as.
Wise, 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 wise. Sun goes down in the western sky, the moon will rise with her shining eyes. Every night's just as wise, every night's just as wise. Sun goes down in the western sky, the moon will rise with her shining eyes. Every night's just as wise, just as wise, 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 and life continues rolling with love forever flowing on to creation's endless knowing through all of time, through all of time. Sun comes up in the eastern sky, old wind blows by and by. Every day's just as wise, every day's just as wise. Sun goes down in the western sky, the moon will rise with the shining eyes. Every night's just as wise, every night's just as wise, 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 and life continues.